virtual meetings. I know I see some familiar faces. Welcome. It's so good to see you all again. If you're new, we're so happy that you joined us. These are recurring events that we've been hosting for our members. So people like you who've chosen to support our work with a one-time contribution, a monthly contribution. We have different topics that we are discussing or different things that we're doing with every meeting. So thanks so much for being part of that. And we're so excited. We just learned this week that we have over 200 members. So that's a big deal for us. We were really excited to celebrate that. So thank you so much for being part of that group. A few housekeeping notes, as Margaret asked earlier, we'll be here for about an hour. And again, if you miss anything or need to step away, we'll send you the recording so you can check in on that later. Today's event is really supposed to be really interactive and conversational. So you do have the ability to unmute yourselves if you'd like to chime in or share some stories or recipes or your own cooking tips at different times throughout the conversation. And we're so excited to be joined by Andi Berlin, who is our This is Tucson food writer. You've probably read lots of her stories all about Tucson's food scene and the wonderful restaurants that we have here. Andi's been writing about food for 10 years. Andi, is that right?
I mean, more or less 10 years. I've been in Tucson for about 14, and most of that time has been writing about food or something or other. But I've been the food writer here at the Daily Star and This is Tucson for like 5 or 6 years. But before that, I actually worked for the Tucson Citizen. Metro Mix, if you remember that.
I remember that.
Yeah, I've done the gamut, and I did it in London and San Francisco too. But I don't want to toot my own horn, but I've been around a little bit.
No big deal. Well, yeah, so we're so excited to hear from you, Andi, and hear just about how your writing has changed so much over the last few months. And also just excited. I just think that anytime Andi talks about food, we all learn so much from her experiences and new things that she's trying, new ingredients. So you're in for a really delightful hour, I think. Also, I'm going to drop one quick thing in the chat before we get started. We did send this to you in email, but in case you did not see it, we started a little quarantine cookbook that has links to some of Andi's most recent stories, as well as recipes from the This is Tucson team. So we invite you to, I just dropped the link in the chat. We invite you to take a look at that, refer back to it if you need some new dishes to try, and then even add your own. So be sure to check that out. You'll notice that I have not contributed a recipe, and that's because I'm the worst cook in the whole wide world. That's not true. That's a different story for a different day. Andi, do you want to kick things off and tell us a little bit about, you have a great spread, first of all. So I don't know if anybody brought any beverages or snacks to enjoy during this time that we're together, but Andi, you have some amazing things to share with us.
Yeah, so, okay, this is what I'm drinking. Oh, what is that, Beverly Sandick? Is that a beer? Oh man, that looks amazing. Is that Japanese? It looks like it. Anyway, so I went to Caravan Market. Oh.
The beer is left over from feast beer tasting of a couple weeks ago.
What's the beer?
It is Redis Hatashino Nest.
Oh wow, that is a really, really cool label. It's beautiful. Is it good?
Wine tastings, they had a beer tasting on Zoom, and you go down and pick up 3 bottles of beer and a little thing of the other beer, which was the $30 a bottle beer. And it was very interesting.
Yeah.
They had a French cider, the Japanese beer, and what was the other one?
No, I forget, but they were really good. Anyway.
That's awesome. I want to pick it up. Yeah, so I wish I was drinking beer right now, but I gotta finish this first.
We're technically working.
I've been doing this thing where I go to different international markets around Tucson. And today I went to Caravan Market. I don't know if anybody's been there or not, but that place is a gem. I am so happy that I went there today. It's just an incredible place. It's a Middle Eastern market. It's got foods, you know, Arabic foods, Persian foods. It has a lot of also like Greece and Russia represented a lot there. But I picked this up like from the refrigerator case. It's called DD. It looks like BB, but it's DD. And it's like a lemon tea. I've been considering putting vodka in there, but it tastes kind of good just by itself. It kind of tastes like, I was telling Veronica before, it tastes like Arizona iced tea. But anyway, and everybody should go to this place. I'm just gonna show you some other things that I got there. Okay, so they have this beautiful area of olives, like olives in bulk by the pound, and these olives are like, they're better than Whole Foods olives. I really think. I love fresh olives. And then I also picked up, everyone will notice in our recipe Google Doc, I have a recipe for watermelon feta salad. And so I picked up some nice feta for it. So if you're gonna use feta, and I have to say I used to be a cheesemonger, so I know, you know, a lot about cheese, but if you're gonna use feta, you always wanna use the fresh feta that's either in the tubs or it's just like in brine, you know, it's in salt water. It's not all dried out and crumbly. This stuff is just so much better than the crumbly feta. Oh, somebody asked what part of town is Caravan Market?
Where's Caravan?
So it's Midtown. It's on Glen and Country Club, I believe. And right next to it is something called Caravan Grill. It used to be where Zaatar used to be in that space. And before that, I think it was like a taco place, I think. But yeah, it's called Caravan Grill, and it's just Middle Eastern food. The chef is from Libya. And I had some for lunch. It was just like unbelievably good. It was incredible.
I don't want to interrupt this lovely tour of food that we're on, but I just want to add, like, you have been on an adventure kind of exploring a bunch of these different cultural markets around town as part of some of the news stories that you're covering. So definitely I want to hear like more about that because I love the way that you came to that idea.
Yeah, for sure. You want to hear about it now?
Yeah, go for it.
So I guess how I started it was, you know, when coronavirus, when the pandemic started, there was a period where I was kind of at a loss of what to do, because I felt like the foundations of my job and the entire restaurant industry were crumbling, right? Like the whole nature of it had been turned on its head. Like before, I had built my career off of like, what restaurant do you go to? Where do you find the best cheesecake? You know, where do you find the best pepperoni pizza? You know, what's the story behind that awesome Japanese place that serves the sushi straight from Tokyo, you know? But with the coronavirus pandemic, it's like people are scared to even go out to a restaurant, you know? And restaurants were outlawed for several weeks. And frankly, a lot of them might not survive. A lot of them might not make it out of this. So it was really hard, you know? It was really hard thinking about, you know, what I was going to do, thinking about how to number one, help people in the industry, help them survive, you know, at a time when their whole foundation is crumbling, right? And, you know, number two, how trying to rethink like rethink how to do my job and keep people safe. Because that's the last thing I want to do is tell people to go out to eat, and that's, you know, endangering themselves or their family, you know? So I've had to really think about how to change my approach on what I was gonna do. And one of the things I hit upon is shopping for things to make at home, you know? Everybody is cooking more these days. Not everybody, but most people, right? Most people are cooking more. And you know, I want everybody to go out and get takeout if they feel comfortable. But the fact is that most people are cooking a lot more meals at home. So how do you support local businesses when you're cooking everything at home? You know, because most people, let's be honest, we shop at Safeway or Trader Joe's, and that money goes to a larger business or larger corporation like Whole Foods or whatever. And I just realized, go to a local grocery store. You know, if you can, go to a local grocery store and explore and learn about the things that they have there. The local grocery stores, they kind of illustrate an entire community. It's almost like, I feel like in a time when we can't travel, it feels like traveling in a way. Like it feels like going to a place. And that's why I feel so good today, because I felt like I traveled a little bit just by going to Caravan Market.
Yeah, the best part.
The question, is the feta you
Goat
purchase
cheese.
goat or cow? And I believe it's goat. I think it's usually either goat or sheep's milk. I don't remember exactly. I think this is the Greek feta, but it's definitely not cow. It's either goat or sheep. Anyway, I don't know if I got on a tangent or not, but
No, that was great. And I mean, you're right. Like the best part of or like one of the best parts of travel is just getting to experience the cuisine and like trying new dishes and you know, not eating just like your normal recipes. So you're right. That is really one way that we can feel like we are going on a little bit of an adventure. So I love that perspective, and of course supporting local. What other fun goodies did you pick up from there, Andi, that you want to share with us?
Check this out. So they have fresh baklava, or they call it baklava. And if you've ever been to the Syrian sweets sale, or even at Tucson Meet Yourself, you'll be familiar with these. They are just like unbelievably delicious, different kinds of baklava that are, you know, they've got pistachios in there. I love this one that looks like a cigar. And the phyllo dough is almost like little noodles, you know? So these are just like gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Another thing that I picked up, have you ever tried this, Veronica?
No, I don't think so.
This has gotten more trendy lately. This is called samoon, and it's from Iraq. That's the kind of bread that is Iraqi bread. And it's a football shaped bread, and they make it there at Caravan, and it's just like unbelievable.
Does it have herbs in it or anything? It looks like it has some sort of extra.
No, this one's just plain.
Okay.
But they have different kinds of bread there. They can bake cheese on top of it or put it with za'atar, the spice mix. So when I bought this, the owner's son at Caravan Market, I bought this over on the market side. He told me best thing, he'd just smother it with cheese, maybe put it with the feta that I just bought, you know, or any kind of cheese, and then just dip it with olive oil, or you can do it with like hummus, you know, any kind of spread. It's just like really, really delicious bread.
I feel like the best thing for any dish is whether it's like smothered in cheese or covered in cheese. Like I'm there for it.
And then, okay, last thing, I really like snacks from different countries. This is my favorite thing about going to these markets, is that you don't even have to really know how to cook from that cuisine. Like if you want to learn, you can. But if you want to just go to the market and get cool snacks, like you can also do that too. So I just picked up a bunch of snacks. This is called Cracks. And I was trying to figure out where it's from. I think it's from Azerbaijan, but don't quote me on that. But it looks like teeny little breadsticks, you know, and you taste it and it kind of tastes like it's got like that ranch seasoning on it.
Okay. Were there different flavors, Andy? Like, is this like the Doritos of Azerbaijan?
I think there was only one flavor of this, but in the candy aisle was like unbelievable. All the candies are just like beautiful, different colors. They have a lot of different boxes of Turkish Delight, if you like Turkish Delight. Anyway, yeah,
it sounds like
a really fun place.
Yeah, it sounds like also like even if you are not familiar with the cuisine or like using those ingredients, that the staff there are like really excited to share their recommendations with you and how to prepare it.
People,
what are some?
You know, I've learned like just wait till there's a lull in customers, and then any of these little grocery stores that I will answer that question in just a second.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any of the little grocery stores that you go to, if you tell them that you're interested in learning more, usually they get really excited. You know, they get really excited to share their culture with somebody, and they'll just show you around the store. I mean, don't bug them. You know, wear your mask. Don't get too close. You know, I don't want anybody to do anything uncomfortable or too much. You know, too close to people. But you know, like keep your distance. But you know, if you have a question, like feel free to ask them because they will gladly help you, you know, and that is one of the most fun and satisfying parts for me is when I really connect with somebody, you know. I'm gonna cry.
Yeah.
But like when you're talking to somebody and it feels like you make a genuine connection through food, and I know that's cliche, but it's just a really good feeling, you know. But Sam asked and Darlene asked what other grocery stores I would suggest. Gosh, there are so many. I mean, it depends on what kind of cuisine you're interested in. So this is what I was going to segue into. So when the beginning of the pandemic started, I got really into cooking Asian foods. So this is one of the books, and if you've never heard of Fuchsia Dunlop, you should. She is amazing. She is a British lady who is the first woman to ever graduate from the Sichuan Culinary School in Sichuan, China. First woman ever. And she is just a culinary badass, basically. She's on all of those Ugly Delicious shows by Dave Chang, if you've seen those. Whenever he goes to China, he talks to this lady because she knows more about Chinese food than most anyone that I have ever met. I know there are people in China that definitely know more than her, but she's just a really good, she's really good at speaking to, you know, people in the Western world, and her book is fabulous. So anyway, I read this and I got super into cooking Chinese food. So I went to Lily's, which is my favorite place, by the way, favorite place ever. I have a whole system where I go on the weekends to Lily's. I go to Ikkyu, the Japanese takeout place, and I actually like order, this is silly, but I go there and I get the same thing. I get the cold ramen right now.
So hot.
It's a summer thing. Yeah, and I get cold ramen. And I'm super into their, like they have this California roll with baked scallop on top. So good. Anyway, I eat that in my car.
You've been doing a lot.
I eat it in my car, and then I go to Lily's and shop for, I mean, Lily's is just amazing. Like you can find anything there. It's Chinese, it's so much Vietnamese food, like so much Vietnamese food. But they also have like Middle Eastern food and Jamaican food and Mexican food and Latin American food, like the African food, like they just have everything there. So I definitely recommend Lily's, and I would definitely recommend getting the roast barbecue pork up at the front. to go, and make sure you ask for some of the pickled vegetables with it because it's amazing. They actually have better barbecue pork than like any Chinese restaurant I've been to in town. It's kind of weird.
Yum.
Anyway, Lily's is a great place. You know, if you're into Filipino food, I really recommend Nick's Sari Sari store. That's down on the south side. That's actually a pretty cool restaurant district right there. They have a lot of really small businesses over because it's over by the Air Force Base. So you can go to Nick's Sari Sari store and they have a takeout counter there. You can try Filipino food, or you can also go right there is that Toss fried chicken and ramen spot that everyone's really into right now, which is fabulous. You know, there are smaller Korean grocery stores around town. Of course, there's a ton of carnicerias, you know, Mexican markets. I don't even know where to start there. I mean, there's just so many. But yeah, it just depends on what kind of cuisine you're looking for.
So I think one of our last Andi Eats, which is your series on Instagram where you try food from a different place, a different restaurant, a different location. One of our last Andi Eats when we were all working in the same office together was to the Cardenas Market, so the brand new mega Mexican grocery store. But you've been doing a lot of, you're still doing Andi Eats, but you're doing a lot of Andi Cooks these days for obvious reasons.
I did a few.
Do you want to share, and you dropped a couple of recipes in our recipe guide that we created, but do you want to talk a little bit about some of the things that you've been cooking or some of the recipe compilations that you've worked on?
Yeah, so I put a link in that Google Doc that everybody has, and it's there are two separate stories in there, right? And one of them is like 19 iconic Tucson recipes, and the other one is like 12 awesome recipes. So I don't know, 19 plus 12, what is that? 33, 31? Anyway, there's a lot of recipes.
We're writers for a reason.
But yeah, I thought it would be cool to just ask Tucsonans. Bye. I thought it would be cool to ask Tucsonans for their home recipes and kind of go like in an article version of like some kind of recipe chain mail right now. So people went wild and were just contributing all sorts of recipes to, you know, emailing them to me and such. So I compiled them all in those two separate stories. But the cool thing about it is I also got recipes for some popular items that you used to be able to get at restaurants. So like boba and sushi, for example. We all miss that. I miss that a lot, just because it's just an awesome restaurant, and it's been closed since I think March. They contributed their recipe for the Spam buns. So it's like a little taco-shaped bow with like fried Spam in the middle of it. And some people might poo-poo the Spam thing, but I think it's amazing. It's really good. Fried salty pork with kimchi, you know. And then I also have like the Cup Cafe, their baked eggs in there.
Iconic.
You know, I don't know if Sam's here or not, but Sam made an amazing version of the baked eggs. I tried it at home and I totally screwed it up. But Sam sent me a picture of when she made it with her sister, and it looked freaking amazing. So if you want to know how to make the baked eggs, ask Samantha Munzie, because she's a master. Also, while I'm talking about Sam, and Sam, if you want to chime in, feel free. But Sam dropped in her recipe for the New York Times noodles that we've made a couple times. Before coronavirus started, we made it a couple times at her house. And it's just amazing. But she was talking about the chili crisp, and I have some. So this is my side, you know, conversation. Okay, you ready? So this is like a whole other conversation. This is called chili crisp, right? It's all over my finger. Oh my gosh, so good. Anyway, so, oh, it's kind of spicy. So basically what chili crisp is, it's like, you know, the sambal oelek, the Chinese sauce that you're used to using, that Chinese chili sauce. Well, this is like a crunchy version of it. So this is what it looks like. Can you see?
Yes.
Crunchy.
Lots of texture. What gives it the
so
crunch?
It's got little bits of like
dry
flaky red chili in there. And then sometimes it's got garlic, like crunchy garlic. And you can get this at Lily's or pretty much any Asian market is gonna have a chili crisp. And there's also, I don't have it with me right now, but there's a Japanese version that's unbelievable. Uh-oh, I got chili on my computer. But I just want to say, I definitely recommend this stuff because you can put it on anything.
What do you put it in?
So you can put it on noodles, as Sam recommends, you know. Noodles, you can put it on rice. I honestly, you could even put this on like regular pasta, like Italian pasta. Like it's just like a thing you could put on anything, really. But this is a Chinese version. It has more of a Szechuan flavor, or kind of like, I don't know, sour, spicy flavor that's more Szechuan. But there are other kinds that you can get. I have some in my fridge. So this is like a black bean chili oil. And this has fermented black beans in there, so it's a little saltier. And then I just wanted to show you. So chili oil has gotten really trendy over the past few months to a year or two, right? So they even have one at Trader Joe's now, and it's called, this one's Chili Onion Crunch. So this is the Trader Joe's version. It doesn't taste Asian like the other ones do. Like it's more like the woman at Trader Joe's recommended you put it on like fresh goat cheese or something. So you could put this on pasta. I've put it on like Mediterranean food, like if I'm making orzo and vegetables, you can put it on like zucchini or something. But yeah, people love it for the crunch. It's really not that spicy. It's more just like crunchy and good. And once you've had that, crunch, like you can never go back. It's the most amazing crunch.
Darlene says that she adds it to grilled meat as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. Or like grilled grilled eggplant or something. Ooh, or like a portobello mushroom. That would be very good.
Andi, how would you describe your cook? So you have been cooking on Andi Cook's recipes by these iconic recipes from these local chefs, and then also people, home cook recipes. Like, how would you describe your cooking style and the things that you're usually making at home to eat?
Yeah. So I'll start this off by saying I'm not the best cook in the world. Like, I think I'm a pretty good cook, but I'm really not the best. I'm not at the level of a professional chef, and that's okay. I think that's totally okay. And one of the reasons is because I eat out so much, right? So I don't really need to cook it myself. But my cooking is more spur of the moment. So like I have a lot of recipe books. And I read the entire recipe book, but then I never actually do any of the recipes. I just read it and internalize it in my head, and then, familiarize myself with the technique, and then kind of recreate the recipe with whatever I have in my own kitchen. And I think that's the beauty of recipe books, is the more you read and the more you learn and watch videos, the more you can build your own base. You know the techniques, what's going to work. It's just about learning, it's just about trying and failing. It's, you're going to fail like half the time, and that's okay, but you're learning. And then the more you do it, the more you're familiar with how flavors work together. The more you're familiar with how long you have to cook a piece of beef before it gets, too well done. So that's kind of what I do, you know, but also I wanted to say, so I live alone and stuff has gotten weird. It's gotten weird, right? Because like,
How
I don't
so?
cook for anybody but myself. So I don't even know if what I'm cooking is edible anymore. I don't know if I should say that in front of a group of people, but I think it's edible. I think it tastes really good. But, you know, it's like whatever I have in the fridge, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to add it in there and experiment and see if it works, you know?
I feel like anytime you'd bring like lunch into the office, like I was always like, what's in it, Andi? It smells so good, or that looks so good. And you would, like every time it would just be like, oh, I just threw like a bunch of these things. I had like a half-used tomato from 3 nights ago that I made sauce with, and I turned it into this thing, that's a quality that I admire about people who are so comfortable in the kitchen in that way, because I am the complete opposite. I am the like, I must follow the recipe to a T and, you know, perfectly measure out things. So I always just like appreciate your ability to just roll with it and experiment, and it always comes out delightful. I mean, now I'm questioning like trying a bite of your food going forward, but
It's not that bad. I'm being really dramatic, but no, but I appreciate people who can cook from a recipe, because I think that takes a lot of patience. Like people that can bake. I'm not a baker, but Irene, who has been baking these incredible breads and bagels and desserts and things, like I appreciate that so much, because that is a skill, you know, and that takes precision, and that takes humility, you know, to say, hey, I'm going to step back for a second. I'm going to follow this recipe to a T and make sure that it's going to come out okay, you know?
I appreciate your generous words. For me, it's just like a matter of like convenience. Like I don't have to think about this one thing in this process. But I think we would love to hear from other people about what you've been cooking during this time, how you've been experimenting with food, new trends in like what you're trying, or how you're, you know, trying different places. I know Irene has like an amazing story about her bread baking and her journey there.
Oh.
If you care to share that with us, Irene.
Well, I was just gonna say that like I've been posting all these bread photos and baking photos, and then I burned the hell out of a cake this last weekend, and so I was not gonna post it, and then I thought, well, you see everybody's like perfection on Instagram, right, or like on social media, so I should probably show all of it, right? Like I really like to burn the hell out of it. I like so I tried to do the conversion. It was a British recipe, and so I tried to convert it from Celsius to Fahrenheit, and I failed by like 100 degrees. So
because we're writers, that's why. That's what happened.
Also, I blame Alexa, who I asked and she lied. But like, I had spent all this time on this recipe. Like, I put the sugar in the food processor to get it. So on British baking recipes, they use a really fine sugar. Like their sugar is finer than American sugar. And so everything is sometimes off because the sugar granules are bigger. Like this is how precise like I've gotten because I'm crazy now. And so I had like put the sugar in the food processor to get it really fine. And then I had done this, like I did this recipe in this really specific order to try to like make them perfect. And then they burned. And so I was like, I wanted to like throw them across the room, but instead I cut off like I still have some I could show you. I cut off like all the burned bits, and then I kept going with like I had made strawberry jam and like buttercream, and so I just went for it. So it just tasted extra carbony, but like that's real life, right? Like I make beautiful breads, but also I burn the hell out of cake. So everybody do their own thing.
Samantha has a great question.
We're willing to put that on Instagram too, because so many people put these idealized Instagram things on there and just make you feel inadequate.
Perfection. Yeah, it's not authentic, really. Like it feels like it is because that's all you see, but you don't see the burned to bits cake that.
Yeah.
Samantha's asking about my starter. I do have a starter that I started on March 18th, which is like the first day we were like really home, and I was like, well, sour bread starter it is. So I feed it every day. Her name is Sharona. She's made,
Sharona?
yeah, well, Corona Sharona.
Oh.
She's made many, many breads for me, and it's so fun because it's like alive. You watch it, like you feed it every day, a little flour and water, like equal parts flour and water and starter, and you watch it, like it bubbles up the jar, and then it kind of like shrinks down, and you start the whole process. But it's like it's like a pet almost. It's like a Tamagotchi. Did you guys have this? Like you have to feed it every day or it'll die. But it makes like beautiful sourdoughs, and I feel like I'm a time market baker. Like I've gotten a couple loaves out of her because she's really like experienced now. I've gotten some loaves out of her that taste like the time market, like sourdough. If you've ever had that, it's amazing. The levain, it's so good. And it's a lot of work. Like you have to start the night before, and you have to you really have to weigh everything and do exactly what it says, and like not overshoot your Celsius or whatever. But it's really cool to like when it comes out and you're like, oh my God, I made a beautiful bread. Okay, I'm done talking about bread now.
If you're into bread, have you been to August Roads Market?
I haven't yet.
So I believe they're selling starter kits.
Ooh, that's cool.
Yeah, and the baker there is obsessed with bread. So if you want to get into cooking bread or baking bread, like go over there, August Roads Market on Campbell, where the old prep and pastry used to be. And he can get you started, I think, for sure.
So one thing I would say too, for if you want to, like Sam was asking about starting a starter or making bread, so the one tip I have is use the King Arthur flour website. So that website, every recipe I've made on there has been perfect. And they have all of these like kind of step-by-step tutorials about, so they'll have the recipe, but then they'll have somebody who kind of wrote about what it was like to make the recipe and like what it looks like as you go. And they have a whole thing about starter too. So whenever somebody messages me to ask about bread, that's what I say. King Arthur Flour website.
Nice.
Oh,
Does
2,000 plus.
anyone ever else like have any projects? Like I'm curious about what people are into right now. Like if somebody has taken on like a new hobby, you know, cooking wise, like I want to learn Burmese food or something. Like what's everybody up to?
You can definitely
feel free to unmute yourself.
Talk. Yeah.
Johanna's looking like, ah. I know Johanna shared her chili recipe. I think you should talk about that.
She's thinking about it.
No.
I think she's unmuting herself.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it says cannot unmute.
Okay, it wouldn't let me unmute myself. The chili recipe is not mine, and after I put it in there, I realized I shared a recipe that I was like, this is great for hosting people. So sorry, but it's still like it's a recipe I found online, but like I love it because it's really a generic like white chili, and it's a crock pot meal, and then like all the ingredients that make it amazing you like add at the, like everyone can add their own like avocado and jalapenos and cheese, and so like my husband and I like it enough that we've eaten like hot chili from the crock pot, just the two of us, like multiple times this summer. And it's nice like smelling it all day, like yes, dinner is coming. But I'm definitely with Veronica. I'm a recipe cooker for sure. I cannot.
Yeah, and okay, so I was telling Veronica the other day, so my Uncle Peter, he never cooked his entire life. He's like, I don't know, 60 or something, in his late 50s. He never cooked, but they got, him and my aunt got into those like, what are they, plated meals, you know, when they were in the Bay Area, the ones where you can just like order the stuff and it comes like kind of.
Yeah, that has been my pandemic cooking pivot, is the like meal boxes that you choose like from a list of recipes, and then the food gets to like ingredients get delivered to your door, and then you get step-by-step instructions on how to prepare them, how to prepare the recipes, and then you just get like the specific amount of ingredients per meal, which I was really skeptical about, because who wants to have like raw chicken delivered to their home in the middle of the summer? But it works out. It's worked out so far. It's perfectly fine and safe, and it's a really like sizable amount of food. Like portions are good. I kind of was like, oh, this is not going to feed enough, like all of us, my family, and we have leftovers. So highly recommend. I have tried to try as many of them as I can, so I can give you recommendations for which ones to
what's
try.
the best one?
Well, there's a lot of factors, recipes, and then as with like any type of service or product at this time, there's so many disruptions in like the supply chain and then also the delivery chain. So the one that has been super consistent is HelloFresh. So I like that one. And then there's another one, I haven't tried it yet, but it's on my list. And it was actually started by a U of A graduate, like an Eller graduate, and like his high school buddy. I'll have to look it up. But it's one of the other like really popular ones. I would say stay away from Every Plate, not my favorite. But yeah.
Wow. Yeah, so when my Uncle Peter, he learned to cook through those things, right? Like he had never cooked before, and he learned to cook, and he got into it so much that now he's like getting his own recipe books and learning to cook that way.
Did he like wean himself off of the service? Like now he goes and just picks up his own.
Cool? I'm so proud of him. I wish Uncle Peter was here and I could, you know, he could tell everybody about his cooking journey, but it's just really cool.
Every time I make dinner, I think of your Uncle Peter, who I like have never met, but I feel like he and I are on like similar cooking paths and journeys. So one day I hope to graduate like Uncle Peter. Oh, yeah. Beverly says Blue Apron. She likes Blue Apron. I have tried to get on the Blue Apron schedule, but they were one of the ones that have been kind of backlogged on their deliveries. Beverly, I'm gonna try to unmute you. I think you all had something that you wanted to share, you and your husband, about some new things that you're trying or new dishes.
Well, one of the things, we have a little pod of people whom we trust and we get together with. So we've been trying menus, and one of the ethnic ones, or one of the markets, we went to the carniceria, or however that's pronounced in Spanish, and we got like mixed grill, and then we got corn and did Mexican street corn, and using the crema and the cotija cheese. It was just some kind of incredible meal. And then I made a tres leche flan.
Oh, wow.
And so we do these like themed dinners or meals, and it's been really fun and different, and it makes us real excited, you know.
Beverly, does each like friend make a different part of it, or do you like?
Yes,
we
divide it up. And there's just one other couple that we've done some of the serious ones with. And then we have a little wider group that aren't quite as into cooking as we are. But we've had a great time. We'll make breads. We'll do the whole thing.
That's such a good idea. And it like distributes like everyone has a chance to do like their own take on something.
Right.
Thing that I love about the carnicerias here in Tucson, Beverly, is like the meat selection is amazing, and Andi had a great profile on a local market, and how just the way that they spoke, the butcher spoke and the owner spoke about how they source their meat and the quality of meat that they serve their customers was really, really interesting. And one of the best, I don't know if it's a secret, but I think the best parts of these markets are that usually on the weekend, someone is there and will grill your meat for you. So if you don't have a grill, you're not comfortable on the grill, or it's just quite frankly kind of hot outside right now, you can buy your meat inside and then they'll grill it for you outside, which has saved us a lot of times putting together dinner.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't think to go to the carnicerias, but I think right now they're especially important when people want Mexican food, right? But they want it to be fresh and good at their house, but you don't necessarily know how to cook it unless you grew up cooking that. But like if you go to the carniceria, like the meat is already marinated for you. Like all you have to do is just buy the marinated meat, like buy some tortillas, buy some avocados, some lime, and like you're good.
Yeah, it's all there.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, I've had so many good meals from those lately. Just what's your favorite, Veronica, over by your house? Where do you go?
Oh yeah, I go to El Heradero, which they have multiple locations. So that's just the closest one to us. And yeah, our grill master, Don Ramon, it's nice to visit with him every, few weeks. And, he remembers you, like he'll ask about the family and he'll share updates on like his kids and how they're doing. So yeah, it's a nice experience.
That's like one of the, when you were talking about the markets too, like I think that's the lovely thing about the smaller grocery, like family owned grocery places, is that like they remember you and they want to talk about, you know what I mean? Like it's not like going to Safeway where you're like got your head down, you're gonna go down the one-way aisle, you're gonna get the heck out, so like you don't have to get, you know what I mean? Like it's a very different experience, and you can feel like you're doing something good by supporting a family that's like trying to keep it together right now. Yeah.
It did backfire on us, kind of like they got to know us too well, but they like mistook my husband's identity. So he would like walk in and the butchers would be like, hey, like I heard blah blah blah, and there was like a couple of times where he felt too awkward to be like, no, I'm not that person. But then one time it was like, oh, how's your mom? And he was like, no, like I think you mistook me for a different person. So,
I want to say though too, I forgot to mention this before, even if you don't want to go to a local market but you still want to cook Tucson style food, I really recommend this book. So it's called Taste of Tucson, and it's by a local writer her name is Jackie Alpers, and she's like a local writer and photographer. You can find this book on Amazon. I think you can order it from Antigone, right? And she's interviewed chefs, from all over town. So this is from Teresa's Mosaic Cafe. She's got menudo in there. She's got Sonoran hot dogs, carne seca. Like it's really a cool book if you want to learn the iconic Tucson foods. And Irene, I wanted to mention there's something called like matzo albondigas on there. And it's like albondigas on like matzah bread.
Really?
Who makes it?
She's also Jewish. So there's like a weird thing that I've noticed in Tucson is that most of the food writers here are Jewish, which
is crazy because there's not a lot of like percentage of Jewish people. Yeah,
I think Jewish people love to cook, and they,
well, they all retired here. Like, let's be real. That's why my dad is here.
True, that's true.
Because he wanted to get out of New York. That's why he's here.
Yeah. But you know what though? I have to say is 2,500. Wow.
25,000. 25,000.
There are a lot of Jewish people, but there's no good Jewish deli right now.
I know.
What is going on with that?
And where are the bagels?
Yeah, and Irene has to make her own bagels.
I do. Like, what is that about? I shouldn't have to make my own bagels.
One bagel place in town. Actually, you know what? I don't know if I should admit this, but I just started getting bagels at AJ's at La Encantada. Like they're
skeptical.
You know how they have like a bakery in the front? They'll make you up like a bagel with cream cheese, and it's actually really good.
I feel like, so I've been thinking about this. I've been making bagels, and it's actually, on the scale of bread things, it's pretty low on the like hard scale. Like it's fairly easy as far as, but I feel like the cream cheese is part of the thing. Like when I get a New York bagel, there is something about the bagel that tastes very specific, but the cream cheese is like that silky, kind of glassy, thick cream cheese. I don't know how to replicate that. Like the stuff from the grocery store is not, and maybe it's the fat.
Same.
It's probably the fat level. It's probably like a full fat, beautiful, like cream. And you don't get that from like Philadelphia or whatever that bologna is.
But that's what I like about the one at AJ's is the cream cheese on there is like more whipped.
Yeah.
You know, like it's lighter and it's more fluffy. So I think it's actually pretty good. But yeah, I mean, that's like what's lacking at like Brugger's, you know, is the cream cheese isn't really that great. Yeah. But AJ's, unexpected. It's not like New York or anything, but it's better than I thought.
It's as close as you can get. I just want to do a quick time check. We have about 7 minutes. So if anyone has questions for Andi or wants to share some of their recipes with us, make sure that you do that before our time together ends. We were talking about the just like the presentation of food, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And I think one of the best parts of Andi Cooks is kind of when you're trying to make these dishes and you might not have the equipment to do that, Andi. I feel like it's a really real experience. Like we can all relate to that.
Yeah, so I don't want anybody to come out of the Zoom call feeling intimidated. You know, cooking is cooking, and if you don't feel like cooking, like that's okay. Or if you're not the best cook, that's okay. You know, sometimes I feel embarrassed about my cooking skills and my cooking equipment. You know, I live in a tiny little old house, and then there are things like this that happen when I'm trying to cook, you know. You never know what's gonna happen, right? But yeah, I mean, sometimes it's hard, and sometimes things don't come out the way that you want them to come out, and that's okay, you know. So I just want everybody to know that, you know, it's a process.
Beverly wants to know who is the new guy making bagels at Monsoon Chocolate. Bernie's Bagels.
Oh, so that, I think that they stopped doing that. So they were doing that for a few months over the summer, but I think they stopped. But it's Adam, it's the owner of Monsoon Chocolate. He's also Jewish, and he just always wanted to open a bagel spot. And so he was making his own bagels. They have like a very good like bread bakery program over there too. So he was doing that in the mornings for a while. But unfortunately it wasn't like a regular thing. It was like only on the weekends. It was only in the morning, and he would tend to sell out a lot. So I've been waiting for him to come back so that I can get some more, because yeah, I mean, good bagels are hard to find. They really are. But Monsoon Chocolate is like a really cool, fun place. So I enjoy it. It's nice.
Yum. I'm gonna, we have about 5 minutes left, and I'm gonna drop a link to a survey. I don't want to interrupt the fun with like logistics, but if you'll take a few minutes just before you leave today to just fill out, it's a pretty quick survey. You can fill it out in like 30 seconds. 30 to 60 seconds, just to answer a few questions about your experience today. And we really want to hear from our members too, and bring you guests or topics that you're curious about. So there's a question in there about that as well. Andy,
and I also wanted to say, if anybody wants to email me or message me if they have questions about anything, if they need a recommendation, like, feel free, you know, I'm here. Can I drop my information into this chat right here? So I'm dropping my email. So that's me. And then, you know, if you look up Andi Berlin on Facebook, send me a message. Like, I'm here. I'm actually going to Prescott this weekend. If anyone has recommendations, it's the first, how do I unsend it not privately?
Here, I sent you, I did it for you.
I'm technology challenged, sorry everyone. Anyway, I'm going on the first vacation that I have gone on in several months. Since coronavirus started, I'm going to Prescott this weekend with my quarantine buddy is my neighbor, Rachel, and it's her birthday this weekend. So I'm really excited. I don't know like what's gonna be open there, but I think that we're just gonna end up like, she has like a cabin that she got. We're gonna end up cooking a lot of meals in the cabin. So if anyone has any Prescott recommendations, let me know. Oh, what is that?
Oh,
Beverly, what is that? Phoenix Magazine?
You have to unmute yourself again, sorry. There we go.
Phoenix Magazine, the June-July issue has a section on nearby things, and this is their Prescott section.
Oh, wow.
Take a look at that before you go. And looks like an interesting place.
Yeah, I've been there once before when we used to do our road trip videos for This is Tucson, and I went with Sam and Nick, and we had a really good time. We ate at that pizza place. I don't know what it's called, like Jimmy's or something.
Bill's,
yeah.
Isn't it Bill's?
What? Oh, Bill's! It was Bill's, you're right. #1 on TripAdvisor, best pizza place in Arizona. But we found out the reason that it's #1 on TripAdvisor is because every single person that eats there, afterwards, they say, will you review us on TripAdvisor? Like they say, like when they drop off your check, they're like, hey, now that you've eaten the pizza, you know, would you mind giving us a review on TripAdvisor? But yeah.
Do they give you a discount on your bill if you like leave a favorable review?
So they were just kind of like, well, we gave you this pizza. We did you a favor. So how much you give us a favor?
Very transactional. Wow.
Drive up when you go, drive up on the interstate, then drive back on the old highway through Wickenburg. It's a much prettier trip going downhill that way.
Really?
Oh, yes.
Oh, Wickenburg. Wow, I haven't been to Wickenburg in forever. Isn't there like a Mexican restaurant that's good there?
There's a detour through most of downtown you don't have to take, but before they built the interstate, you go up, well, coming down, you'll go through the some mountain roads, which are easier going downhill. What is it? Yarnell, which is a very picturesque community. Place, Junction Continental, which I've never seen anything at. Wickenburg, which is a fun place. And then from Wickenburg, you go on into 60 and then take the 303 down to the 10.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I've never taken it that way before. Are you from Phoenix? Because you have the Phoenix Magazine.
We're from the Midwest, but
We just read a lot.
been here.
Oh, so I'm originally from Phoenix, so I'm a traitor. I'm a traitor.
We won't hold it
Highway
against
60 all the way into town.
Oh, Highway 60. Okay. Good. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for the recommendation.
Awesome. Well, our time is up, friends. I'm going to drop our survey link one more time, and we're going to keep the meeting open just for a few more minutes, so you can fill that out. And then don't forget to add your own recipes to our quarantine cookbook. We definitely need some variety in our lives and our cooking routines, and we'd love to have your contributions be part of that. Andi, always a pleasure. It's so nice to see your face.
It's been a pleasure too. Thank you so much, Veronica. It's been really fun. And I just wanted to say thank you to everyone. I feel so blessed just to be able to do this. Like, it's just awesome, you know. Quarantine it's hard some days, and then some days you're like, you know what, I think I can do this. Like, I think I got this, you know, I feel positive. So thank you for allowing me to pass this time in the best way that I know how. And I hope that everyone here finds something that they like to do, and something that inspires them that they can focus on to get through this hard time. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Thanks so much for sharing your evening with us. We really appreciate it. Feel free to leave the meeting when you're ready. I want to ask Andi what Andi's eating for dinner tonight, though.
What the what?
What are you eating for dinner tonight? What's on your menu?
Oh, well, you know what? I think I'm just going to eat the leftovers from Caravan, because I ordered, I got too much food, and it's I had some of it before, and it's chicken kebabs with a saffron rice, and it was just so good. So I'm probably just going to eat more of that, and then more of that Monsoon bread with the hummus. Super good.
Yum. Are you going to do
cooking tonight? And yeah, get some takeout too, everyone. If you can, get some takeout, support a local restaurant. That's important.
I love to hear what all the new restaurants are, or what the restaurants are doing, like the wine tasting, virtual wine tasting and beer tasting. That was really cool. And August Road starter kits. It's really cool to see some of the new things that they're introducing. So
yeah, they're just trying, they're trying any way they can to pivot a little bit and to get people excited and to get people buying stuff, without leaving their homes. It's quite a challenge, but they're trying their best, they're just trying to hang on.
Yeah.
So anything that you can do, like if it's a virtual wine tasting, Irene mentioned that she's been getting delivery from Tap and Bottle, right?
Nice.
Which is a great idea, by the way.
It's lovely. Also, it comes in their, they drive up in their big, fancy van that says Tap and Bottle on the side. And it's one of those really great experiences where they, drop it on the porch and then back way up. And then they, ask to see your ID from 20 feet away. They're like, I'm over 21. And then they're like, have a great time, and then they leave. And you can get all kinds of great stuff from them. They have all kinds of amazing things. So that's been nice.
Awesome. If you're looking for a place to go, Roma Imports, nice, Sam. By the way, I go
we did that too.
Cocktail
It was really good.
A lot and get takeout because they are very, very safe. There's a lady that's really far away from you, and you have to order 10 feet away from her. So you're over there, she's over there. And then you put in your credit card really far away. Sam is eating noodles. From Roma Imports.
Yum.
Ooh, what kind of noodles, Sam? What kind of noodles are you gonna eat? Veronica, I didn't talk about my noodle thing. How I was gonna tell everyone to get Rusticella di Abruzzo noodles.
Yes.
So
you just told them. Why should they get those noodles?
You can get them, I know I shouldn't recommend it, but you can get it at Whole Foods. And I'm pretty sure they have them at AJ's too. So any nicer grocery store, they might have them at Roma Imports, but I'm not sure. But it's called rigatoni. It's called Rusticella di Abruzzo, and they're just really good dried pasta, the best dried pasta. And a package of it is only it's $6 to $8. It's pretty expensive, but if you're just eating pasta, you're still not really spending that much money, right? It's worth it in my opinion. If you're gonna make pasta, make really good pasta with these rusticella. But the reason that I recommend it is because the cheese shop in California that I used to work at in Oakland, they own that company that imports them. So they import them from Italy, from like a small farm in Italy that makes them using like copper machines rather than the steel machines, which is actually a better way of making pasta because it's a more homemade machine, so the pasta can have more texture, it can have more tooth to it. And that's really important when you're eating pasta, is to have pasta with like a little bit of tooth. That way it can pick up the sauce and it doesn't just like slide through the sauce. Anyway, that was a tangent, but good pasta is worth it. One of the best things you can eat in the whole world.
And with that, we hope that you are enjoying a lovely dinner at home, whether you're cooking it yourself or doing takeout or having it delivered. Andi, thank you so much. Thank you, Paula, Beverly, Darlene, Jen, Johanna, Sam. We'll see you next time. I was gonna give away our next one. I don't know if I should. Well, we think our next event or the subsequent event will be a behind the scenes with Reed Park Zoo and the new baby elephant that we cannot see in person. So stay tuned. We have some excitement. Fingers crossed. All right. Good night, everyone. Thanks so much.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.